Hey everybody, Jessica here from Brighton, Colorado again, and I am here today to show you an experiment called the floating egg, and this is all about density. So I'm going to give you a few options here to make your eggs at home float. This is a really easy experiment you can do with your kiddos using a few ingredients you already have at the house and teach them a little bit about density. So what you will need for this experiment is you will need some salt. Kosher salt works best, but if you have just regular salt, iodized salt, that works fine too. A little bit of food coloring, 2 or 3 colors, makes it extra fun. You'll need a few cups of water, clear cups so you can see those eggs, and 2 or 3 fresh raw eggs right out of the fridge. So to get started, I'm simply going to use this first clear cup of water. This is fresh water out of my tap. And we're going to test our first egg. So the question is going to be, will this egg sink, float, or hover somewhere in the middle? And your fresh raw eggs should sink right to the bottom of your cup there. And what we want to do is see if we can get an egg to float. So in order to get an egg to float, we have to change the density of the water. Now, when we talk about density, we're not talking about how light or heavy an object is. We're talking about how compact those molecules are within that object. So for this second glass of water, what I've done is I've added a pretty hefty amount of our kosher salt here. I'm going to give it another little sprinkle and stir for good luck. Now, if you only have regular salt at your house, that is totally fine. The main difference is going to be that your cup isn't going to be quite as clear as it would with kosher salt. So your egg might be a little harder to see, but it should still work just as well. So we are going to let that stop spinning there for a second. I'm going to take my second egg here and set it right in our water to float right there at the top. Let's take a look here in the light. So we've got our egg floating right up top here. That's a little hard to see on the camera, but sitting right up there on the top. So you've got 1 egg on the bottom, 1 egg floating up top, and this is where I think it's fun to get a drop or so of food coloring in each of our containers. That's going to make that color difference really obvious when we try and get our egg to float in the middle. So let's give this a shake here. There we go. So we've got our egg sinking at the bottom of our blue and floating in the top of our red cup. Now this is where things can get a little bit tricky. We are going to take our egg out right here and set it down. And we are going to get our egg to float in the middle. So we're going to use some of this dense and heavy salt water, and we're going to fill our cup up about halfway. And we're going to fill the rest of it with our lighter, less dense, fresh water. So I'm going to pop this egg out here to wait its turn. Now the trick is to getting this blue water to sit on top of our red water is to pour it really slowly. I like to tip my cup a little bit and let that water run right down the edge of the cup. If you pour too fast and too strong, it will mix. But our goal here is to get that blue to really just sit on the top here. So let's see what we can do. And you should be able to see a pretty clear layer. As things settle, it'll become more and more clear where that difference is. So let's see what we've got here. There we go. Our blue is a little bit low, but we'll see that start to even out. And when we talk about density, in our first test, we saw that in the red water with the salt, that egg was floating on top, and with our blue water, it was sinking to the bottom. So in this test here, when we add our egg, it should sit right in the middle of those 2 layers. There we go. Because that egg, the density of that egg is right in between the density of our blue water and our red water. So a really easy experiment you can do with some water, eggs, and food coloring at your house. If you do this experiment, please feel free to share. If you have friends at home who are looking for some science to do, please comment their names below so that we can spread our experiments and keep back with us as we will post more this week. Thanks.